It's the sign language that tells the deaf community that you are part of what is going on. It is sign language that provides the communication that bridges the gap, the communication gap between the deaf community and the rest of the society. The sign language means that you use your fingers to communicate with the deaf community. You will need to take them into what is going on, a part of governance, let them know what programs the government has for the society. It is sign language that makes a deaf person know that he is part of you and you are part of his family. With the sign language, you can say anything, discuss anything, and the deaf person will understand exactly what is happening in the society, whether it's in the market, in the shops, in the hospitals, in the courts, in the schools. It's a sign language that provides education for the deaf community. It is sign language that will make a patient who is deaf understand what doctor is saying and explain to the doctor what is happening to the deaf. It is sign language that a teacher will use to instruct the deaf. It is sign language that will make churches preach the gospel to the deaf. So basically, without sign language, the deaf community will be in another world by themselves without relating with the rest members of the society. That is the importance of sign language and more.
All right, thank you so much. Let's come to you, Emmanuel. You are a sign interpreter, and I will want you to tell us what are the benefits of learning sign language, for individuals, for someone like you. What actually made you to, pick interest in learning sign language, and also how is it going to benefit different people apart from the deaf community, other people that have interest to learn the language?
Okay, first of all, I'd rather say that my parents are both deaf. My dad and my mom, they are both deaf. So that's how I got to learn sign language.
Okay.
So will I even say that I learned it because that's just the only way I used to communicate with my parents. So apparently I started interpreting for my dad at the age of 4 and up to now. So that's how I came about with sign language interpretation. And also, there's a lot of benefits that one can get from learning sign language. I mean, sign language can take you to a whole lot of places where you can never imagine. Sign language can make you to bridge the gap between the hearing community and the deaf community.
Okay.
It makes them feel welcome in the society. It's an opportunity for the person to be, let me use the word, an ambassador for the deaf people. And also with that, also with sign language as well, it can, like they literally said that the gift of a man make it a way for him. So sign language can as well take you to a lot of places where you have never imagined to be. Yeah.
Okay, coming back to you, Barrister, you made mention of a whole lot where sign language is, where we can use it to help the deaf community in schools, in churches, in different gatherings. But we notice that in our country these days, most time we even forget that we have the deaf communities among us. You see people preaching, they don't even care whether they have some people in their churches that can't really understand or hear what they are saying. Now the question is, how can we actually promote inclusivity and accessibility in our society, with sign language?
Thank you very much. By the way, let me add that Emmanuel you see here is the one that stands next to the governor, interpreting for the governor, letting the deaf community know what the governor is saying. That is why in the public function, wherever you see the governor, you see Emmanuel standing next, letting the deaf community hear exactly what the governor is saying. Otherwise, you will have a whole community that is lost out of the communication. And that is why I have been advocating for a manual to be given at least SA, Special Assistant on Sign Language Communication. A man needs that recognition. He's been working for this government for many years, from the previous government, and even now. For all these years, a man is the one that makes the community of the deaf understand what the administration is doing or saying, what the governor is saying, what any commissioner, any person is saying. And the imam is one they invite even in certain private homes to help them understand what a deaf child needs, a deaf child says. So his value is enormous in this society. There are so many others, including the ones trained by ROLAC, the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption, a program of the European Union run in Nigeria by International Democratic and Electoral Assistance, IDEA. They've trained some sign language interpreters because we recognize we need many of them. One person can't do it all. So I can say that the best way we can include the deaf community, deaf persons, into the society is to encourage the learning of sign language in our schools. The Disability Rights Law, the Anambra State Disability Rights Law, makes provision for sign language instruction in schools. Every student, every child ought to learn sign language from primary one, even from nursery. As Emma tells you, Emma started when he was age 3. Age 4, he was already interpreting for his parents. So what we are saying is that you don't need to be deaf to learn a sign language. You don't need to be a person from the family of the deaf to learn a sign language. Anybody should have sign language as another language, not just as something you communicate with persons with disability, but rather another language you speak. The same way you speak English, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, and all that. Speak the sign language. That's how you can make a deaf person who comes to your store understand how much you are selling and understand what he wants to buy. That's what you used to know when you speak what is happening. That's how you want to know when a mother who is pregnant and is deaf, what he needs when he's going for antenatal, prenatal, postnatal, whatever it is sign language that will make you understand what the needs are in the society. So we can have an inclusive society if every person, whoever you are, no matter your level, a child, adult, a student, a business person, learn sign language so you can communicate with our brothers and sisters. With time, we shouldn't have to need interpreters. If he's not here, the deaf will not understand what we are saying. But if all of us learn sign language, we can communicate with them by ourselves. We can interact with the deaf people. Very, very important. Then we can have an inclusive society.
All right, thank you so much for that submission of yours. Let's come back to you, Ima. I want to know how long it can take someone to learn the sign language. You said you started from age 3. Of course, your own is a peculiar case. But then I'm talking about an adult, somebody like me. If I decide to, learn this now, how long will it take me? And then you've interacted with the people, the deaf community so much. So what do you think are their challenges when it comes to accessing healthcare, education, and of course, employment?
Okay, well, it depends because someone can learn sign language depending on the level of the knowledge that the person wants to learn the sign language. Some can take up to 1 to 2 months for just the beginner, and for the intermediate, you can still learn from 1 to 6 months, depending on how fast the person is to learn the sign language. And now coming down to the challenges that most of the people have in the society, mostly I would rather say that it is communication. That's why most times when you see some deaf people, when you go to the hospital to have an appointment with the doctor, and at some point you find out that the nurses tend to treat them very well. They're like, okay, what do you want? Write the paper, just go. So most times when they decide to write in the paper to give to the nurse like, what's this one? I don't have that kind of time. Just take it and go. And that's why most times deaf people usually have these challenges. Most times, there are some few years back ago, we recorded some few cases of some deaf people died, because of this lack of communication, and also some pregnant women losing their child, sicknesses, a whole lot of challenges. And also the challenges there is that the communication, which we are still advocating that they should have this inclusion in the society, whereby sign language interpreters should be employed in all sectors in Nigeria, just like how it is being written in the Anambra State Disability Rights Law, that sign language interpreter should be provided in able to ease the communication for the deaf people in the hospital, in the court. That's why we have the Anambra State Disability Rights Commission, where we have a sign language interpreter, where we can send these interpreters to the hospital, courtrooms, police stations, and a whole lot of it, where we can easily bridge that gap between the deaf and the hearing community.
In Anambra State Disability Rights Commission to help you, can help you if you want to learn to speak in that sign language. And by the way, Section 25 Anambra State Disability Rights Law provides that you radio stations, TV stations, that you need to provide a sign language interpreter for your news, for your program, for your programs. And it's mandatory that any radio station in Anambra State, TV station in Anambra State, to provide a sign language interpreter for your program, for your news. So we need that to happen. That is why there should be a camera set up where if somebody is reading the news, a sign language interpreter is there signaling so that the deaf community who are watching the TV can hear the news, can understand. And it is mandatory. As a matter of fact, the law provides for Anambra State Disability Rights Commission to withdraw your license to operate in Anambra State if you fail to make your programs and your news inclusive by providing interpretation for the deaf community. But we have been on the side of advocacy instead of trying to enforce the law that you do not yet know, that many people do not yet know. But we've been on the side of advocacy, explaining to these TV stations, radio stations like yours, that this is required in Anambra State. By the way, we commend ABS. We commend ABS.
Very so. I can understand what you're saying when it comes to TV station. But what about radio? Radio is just your audio. I mean, we talk. So how can you are not seeing anybody, how can you interpret the news over the radio? It's just for television station. You agree with me?
Yeah, for the interpretation, yes, that's for the radio station. Yes. But for the radio, there is something that is called TDD.
Okay.
That when you are reading the news, there will be somebody typing your news and it's coming on the telephone of a deaf person. Okay. And he will be reading exactly what the people who are listening to the station are hearing. So all that provision is possible. Yeah. With radio you can communicate. Sorry. Excuse me. With radio you can communicate with the deaf. There is an auto translator. Not necessarily a person sitting there, But there is an translator, that when you are reading the news, everything you are saying is being typed and is being transmitted in a TDD fashion to the deaf person who is listening to the radio.
Okay.
We see we have a long way to go, but we are on our way there. And I do know that the solution governor, this solution administration, we provide solution for the deaf community that is yearning for inclusion. And we can begin somewhere. We can begin with one station. We can begin with ABS. And others will understand. Again, I was commending ABS for always providing a voice to the disability community, for making their program inclusive by always giving not just a landline, a voice to the disability community. Today is International Sign Language Day, and you are interviewing us. You are not just interviewing us for the sake of interview. You are providing this information to the deaf community, not just deaf community, to the Anambra society. Because there's something I was watching on the TV this morning, and it says, information is next to your solution. And information is next to your solution. In other words, you have a problem. You are looking for a solution. Receiving information is key to having that solution. May I say again, to our solution and dynamic governor, information is key to this solution. The people in Anambra State need to know what the great work the governor is doing. If the people in Anambra State don't know what the great governor is doing, they will not know that the governor is working. If we say solution is here, the people must know it. The people must hear it. The programs, and the ABS is doing a lot again during the news. At every news bulletin, you provide an opportunity for the Anambra to know the catalog of what governor has accomplished, what he's accomplishing, what he's doing next, and that is commendable. So my point is that information is key for people to know that there is solution to their problem, there is solution to their need. If you don't have the information, you will not have the solution. Right. That is why the deaf community need to have the same information that we are providing to India Anambra. The deaf community in Anambra State need to have that information so that they will know that indeed solution is here.
All right, thank you so much. Emmanuel, I'm coming to you. The theme for this year's International Day of Sign Language is Sign Up for Sign Language Rights. Now, how can we leverage on this particular theme this year to promote and protect the linguistic identity and cultural diversity of the deaf people?
Okay. This year's theme is, what I say is quite very much interesting for the topic, because we've seen that most time we've seen the challenges that most deaf people face in our society. So that's why we decided to come up with that theme. So now with this, making it an inclusive, making it just like what my boss said, that making it more inclusive in every sector in Nigeria in terms of the radio, TV. So if it is possible for them to have a training for all the, should I even say, the Nigerian sector, police, the hospital, just have maybe a 1 day or 2 days training on sign language. So with that, if a deaf person should come to any particular place and they want to communicate, and they see that the doctor or the nurse are trying to communicate using sign language, they'll be like, okay, fine, this person is doing sign language, I'm interested. So it will make the deaf people feel more involved in the society, and also making them to see that they can do things just like every other normal person, just like those we have in America. We have a lot of sign language interpreters there. Even the last time I went to the embassy with my dad for the interview, I was surprised that the person at the embassy knows sign language, and I was like, oh, thank God that I did not even say contrary to what the person was saying. But at the end, like, okay, fine, that these people understand that policy of inclusion of sign language interpreter. So if with that, you can make it inclusive for all deaf people in the society, and it can only make them to feel more welcome, and also give the deaf people an opportunity to explore a lot of things, because you see that there are a lot of hidden talents in deaf people. So only if they can be given a platform for them to showcase what they can do, and you see the world will be a better place for the deaf people and for all as well.
All right.
Again, talking about the American Sign Language, let me add that the same way we have dialectic differences in languages, there is also a dialectic difference in sign language. For instance, what we are using in Nigeria is American Sign Language. American Sign Language. There are other types around the world. That is why in Nigeria, we are the first to have a deaf sign language interpreter. What do I mean by that? A deaf sign language interpreter is a deaf person who is able to use the local symbols to explain things to a deaf person who did not go to school. Because a deaf person who did not go to school does not understand the American Sign Language. The local people in the rural villages, the deaf people in the rural villages may not understand the American Sign Language. Therefore, you have to break it down to the local symbols for them to understand. It is in Nigeria, in my office, Anambra State Disability Rights Commission, we have the first deaf sign language interpreter by the name Amobi Nwago, who was appointed or employed to provide that communication gap, not just between the deaf community and government, but also between the local deaf person, the rural dweller, and the other sign language speakers. So it's very important that we understand it, because in Anambra State, we are the light of the nation. We lead the way, we show the way, we go the way. And we are the first to do that. Just the same way we are the first state in the southeast to have a law protecting the welfare and the rights of persons with disabilities. Anambra State is the first state and probably the only state so far to have a deaf sign language interpreter. I hope you understand what I mean. Now, Emmanuel is not a deaf sign language interpreter. He's a sign language interpreter. He speaks, he hears, he understands. But a deaf sign language interpreter is a deaf person who will not hear you except by sign language, and then brings it to the local symbols for the deaf person who did not go to school. We have achieved that in Anambra State.
Okay, that's quite impressive. Of course, you said Anambra State, we are the first, and other people follow us. And I'm so impressed with this explanation, because I didn't know that someone that is also deaf can actually listen to you and then interpret to those people that didn't go to school, and then they will understand what probably the person passing message across is saying. That's quite impressive. And okay, let's talk about technology. Of course, we know we are in a digitalized world now, and everything is going technology, internet, and all that. So when we are talking about inclusiveness and how people can learn the sign language and communicate better to the deaf community, how can technology enhance this sign language communication and, of course, accessibility?
In my office at Anambra State Disability Rights Commission, we have computer instructors who teach the deaf, who instruct the deaf how to operate or use computers. So that's part of the technology. And recently, by the way, we commend again the Solution Governor, Professor C.C. Soludo, CFR, for equipping our office with the digital cutting-edge equipment that will now help us to function better. This includes laptop that deaf people can use, and we are hoping in the near future we will install what we call the TDD in these computers, so that deaf people will, even with audible signs and symbols, they can communicate better. Yes, technology plays a big role in sign language, because in so many places the sign language is digitalized, where with symbols, with signs and symbols, you can communicate. What about that? I mentioned that somebody had to use finger. But what about people that don't use finger? People that don't even have fingers. So with the digitalized part, they are still digitalized symbols. They are still able to communicate with a deaf person using those signs. I think Imam might have something to add here.
Okay, to add to it, because I rather say that the deaf people are already in the digitized world, because of course for the deaf people to be able to communicate with one another, they make use of the phone, video, and lots more. So now we are now working on moving and advancing the technology to an AI tool, whereby even though the sign language interpreter might not really be there physically, but wherever the sign language interpreter is, the AI tool can able to translate and be able to use a sign language interpreting terms for the deaf person to understand, because that's what we are actually working on right now. So the deaf people are already on that page of the technology aspect of it, because now the deaf people can make use of the phone to communicate, to chat, to video chat. Even in 3 years ago, I think 4 years ago in Kano, the deaf community there have developed an app whereby they can make it easier for them to communicate in their own local language, just like we have the Igbo, the Hausa, and the Yoruba. So they, in the northern part in Kano, they have their own local language, which is the Hausa. That's why they're able to develop their own app to be able to communicate, so that whenever a person is speaking in English, that tool can be able to translate in their own language, just in case the person, the sign language interpreter, does not understand that sign language. So now we, on our own part, we are actually working on that AI tool, whereby if a person is speaking in English, and the sign language interpreter can be here interpreting, while the AI tool can now be able to translate to the other language that the other person from the other country or wherever part of the country person is can able to understand, and also to follow up in what is going on. So that's what is happening now on that technology aspect.
Okay. And earlier on, you asked about a deaf person listening to the radio. How can he understand? You know, deaf people in my office are able to participate remotely in a staff meeting without sign language interpreter, because whether you're using Google Meet or Zoom, there is an auto translator that whenever anybody is saying, there will be a text of what that person is saying, and the deaf person in the meeting, in the remote meeting, the one we call when we're having a meeting like this, we have what we call hybrid. Some people physically present and some people participating remotely, virtually. So when a deaf person is participating virtually, that translator transcribes everything the voice is saying on the other end, and the deaf person is reading it using his phone and is able to participate in the meeting. When it's time for him to speak, he can just type it on the phone, and everyone else will read what he's writing and what he's saying, and that's how they are able to participate even in a virtual meeting. So yes, communication, technology enhances that communication.
All right, thank you so much. Now, Emmanuel, I want to ask you a personal question. How has this sign language actually impacted on your life and, of course, the life of your loved ones, your parents, and also your siblings, and probably friends around you?
Okay, I really said that the sign language interpreting has affected my life positively. It has changed my mindset concerning the deaf community. It has really shaped my life, and also I've seen that this is the only way that I can use to affect and to change the deaf people, to change the lives of the deaf people positively. I can use the sign language to save them, to save life, to give them information, to able to make their life better. With this, my brother too, he also knows how to sign. He's also a sign language interpreter in Enugu State. I was one that taught him the sign language. Okay. And of course, he's doing well with it in Enugu State. He's using it to help my parents in Enugu, and also use it to help the other deaf people who are in need. Just like some few days ago, I was able to, I was in a meeting, and the deaf person were there, and they were lost out. And in a case whereby their rights are being violated, and there was no other sign language interpreter that was there to able to help them, to tell them that this is what is happening, and they have been in darkness for many years. And when they found out that okay, this person can sign language, I asked them what is the problem. They told me that this is that the people are cheating on them, that this is what is happening. I said, okay, fine, let us do this way. Let me just pretend as if that I'm a deaf person, so that I can be able to hear what they are saying. And at the long run, I heard so many awful things. So I told them that this is what they are saying, so let's do it this way. And with that, I can able to, for now, their lives are better. They are now part of the leadership in that state. I would not like to call the name of the state. So, and that now the deaf people there are quite enjoying it, because while I'm able to affect them positively using my own sign language. And with that, I've decided to create my own company called Noel Sign Language Interpretive Consult, where I can able to stand and bridge in the gap for the deaf people, and also be an advocate to the deaf community, being able to stand in for them whenever they need be, and also be able to educate the society about sign language.
Talking about your company, what about people that are interested in learning the sign language? Do you have an avenue for you to probably train some people, teach them sign language?
That's why we are collaborating with the Anambra State Disability Rights Commission, whereby the person can easily come to the office to learn, or the person can easily, join virtually. Okay. That's where I can use the virtually to teach them sign language. So with my own company, collaborating with the, the great Anambra State Disability Rights Commission, we all work together.
All right. Barrister, coming back to you, I want us to imagine a world where sign language is universally recognized and accepted. What would this look like?
It's already universally recognized and accepted, because today we are celebrating sign language. It's a declaration by the United Nations. United Nations is a global organization, and Nigeria is a signatory to this world body. So it's already universally accepted. What we are talking about is universality of the inclusion, universality of the inclusive effort, universality of the application of the laws, making it possible for deaf community to participate in governance, to participate in politics, to participate in communal development. The universality of that understanding that deaf people are our brothers and sisters. They stop looking at them as vulnerable people we have always said that disability is not vulnerability. We have deaf people who are doctors. We have deaf people who are lawyers. We have deaf people who are professors. I know them. I have a professor who is a deaf person and a dean in the university. So deaf people are not vulnerable people. The people who are vulnerable are those deaf people that did not go to school, are not in business, are dependent on government and other people for livelihood. Like we have a deaf community in Awada that is transforming waste into wealth. They gather this trash, they gather this bottled water, empty one. They gather everything you throw away and convert them into certain, and people come out from around this country to buy from them. It is a business of the deaf, for the deaf, by the deaf. He employs hundreds of deaf people doing this, and there are so many of them. There is a deaf person owning a company that came to my office 2 weeks ago to install the digital equipment provided to us by the governor. It was a deaf, a person with disability, not a deaf one this time, a person with disability who owns his own company, okay? And there are deaf people, if you go to the place where they make shoes in just around this whole state, and there is the one at Nkwere, where a whole deaf community is manufacturing shoes. I bought a pair from them when we visited the place. These are not vulnerable people. There are deaf employers of labor. There are deaf people who are making news around the world. There are deaf people who are in businesses, employing people, entrepreneurs.
So in other words, it's all about inclusiveness. They're not just limited to anything.
It's all about the universality of the inclusive effort.
Okay.
The universality of the understanding that a deaf person is not a disadvantaged or vulnerable person, but just another brother and sister that may need our help to understand what the society is saying and doing.
Okay, so still talking about the inclusiveness and all that, we've talked about the right law in Anambra State, and then we are talking about other policies that government need to implement to support the sign language, you know, in our different states in Nigeria as a whole.
Absolutely. Number one is the inclusion of a curriculum in our schools, higher institutions, for people to study sign language. That is one sure way of making our deaf community feel belonging. And if we can do that, we need deaf people to participate, whether it is in award of contract, the project they can execute, a community development or infrastructural development. Let us allow deaf people who can do certain things, who have some skills, showcase their skills, use their skills to earn a living, to contribute to the GDP of Anambra State, contribute their quota to the economic development of the entire country. If we allow them to participate, not just when they come for work, employment, or contract, we say, deaf person, will I understand what he's saying? Will I understand what she's saying? Then you pass them over. When you pass them over, they remain poor. Give them opportunity to excel. I said it the last time, I say it again. Poor, P-O-O-R, is passing over opportunities repeatedly. When you repeatedly pass over the opportunity that come your way, you remain poor. In the same way, when we pass over persons with disabilities, we pass over the opportunity that should come to them. We deny them the opportunity just because they are persons with disability, they have disability. We pass them over, interview others. You interview a person who is qualified. You say because he has a disability, because he's deaf, you give it to somebody else. You are passing over, you are making them pass over opportunities. Therefore, they remain poor. And that is contrary to the governor's vision. The governor said that he wants to pull people out of poverty in the shortest possible time. He said to me, Ezemuzie, think of a program that will pull persons with disabilities out of poverty within the shortest possible time. If we can do that, we must begin by allowing them to take advantage of opportunities we provide to others. We must encourage them, empower them to take advantage of opportunities that come their way. Then they can come out of poverty. Whether it is in the agricultural sector or education, in every sector, let us allow the deaf community to thrive.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister. Emmanuel, let's go back to you. Talking about, people, the deaf community, most times some of the people in that career, some lack confidence in themselves, because Barrister talked about empowering them, bringing them out. But when somebody doesn't have that confidence in him or herself, he feels that he is disadvantaged because probably he can't hear, he can't behave like normal people, so to say. So now it behoves on the parents, guardians, people around them to encourage them and also be there for them. So what roles do the parents, our church leaders, the friends, family members have to play in this aspect?
Okay, there are so many ways that the parents can as well, and the pastors, the reverend can show. First of all, the parents should show them that they are being loved. The one thing that the deaf people want to see is that they are being loved. They are being cherished. Like, okay, don't worry about this or this. Like my own parent, like my grandfather. My grandfather, when my dad became deaf, my grandfather loved his son. He sent him to school, made him, went to theology school, and from there he became the best. So if the deaf parents can able to encourage their children, tell them that they can do it no matter what, that they have their full support. With that, they will have that full moral support, and they can be able to come out. And even when the deaf parents can be able to help them to bring them out in the society, to show them that this is what you can do it, and you can do it better. And also talking about the reverend, the pastors, the other public sectors can able to show that sign of inclusivity, providing a sign language interpreter in church, hospital. With that, the deaf people can be able to feel among, and as well, just like what my boss said, if possible, we have so many deaf people who are also graduates, who are also professors. If you can also employ them, give them work to work at the hospital, which that alone can able to reduce the stress of trying to know what the deaf person is saying. So once you employ a deaf person in a hospital, who is a medical, because we have a lot of deaf people who are medical doctors, so if by the time you employ them to work in the hospital, it has made the job very much easier. It makes the deaf people feel very much, and very enough, you can see that a lot of deaf people can just troop into the hospital, and that will also help to increase the money pay. To increase the money. And also, if every deaf people can be employed in all sectors in Nigeria, it's very, very easy, and also help to, like people always say that we need more money. So for you to have that much more money that you need to provide what the society needs. Give the society what they need, which is this interpreter or employ the deaf person, which make it easier. And also with that, you can able to, deaf people can able to contribute to the GDP of Anambra State, and also they increase the wealth so that it can able to go round. So if the pastors, the reverend, the police people can as well employ deaf people to work at the police stations, it makes life very much easier for them.
Okay.
And again, may I say here, Anambra State Disability Rights Commission can help, we do help. We have motivational program. We have counseling session that can inspire the deaf community to rise and take advantage of the programs the government have. And there is in Anambra State an incontrovertible evidence of inclusion when the government makes provision for the deaf community through the Anambra State Disability Rights Commission, which is an arm of the government, an agency of government constituted by law, by Anambra State Disability Rights Law 2018. By that, Anambra State government makes provision for the protection of persons with disability and prohibition of discrimination against persons with disability. So we make the information available to the deaf community for them to know they have a right of redress when their rights are infringed. If you discriminate against a deaf person at work, at the church, or any other place, the law is coming after you, because it's against the law to discriminate against persons with disability. If you have a company in Anambra State, if you have business in Anambra State, it is against the law for you to discriminate against persons with disabilities. If you have a school in Anambra State, it is against the law for you to deny admission to deaf students, to deaf people, to persons with disabilities who want to come to the school. You cannot turn them away for any reason. Rather, if you need help, call Anambra State Disability Rights Commission. They will provide you with the help you need. Like some people come up with excuses. Well, we don't know how to help them. We don't know how to handle them. We don't have somebody to tell them what we are saying. Anambra State Disability Rights Commission stands ready by the provision of the law, by the operation of the law to help you. And let me warn that the rule of law in anti-corruption program of European Union in Anambra State took 12 lawyers to Abuja and trained them on how to defend the rights of persons with disabilities, how to recognize the infringement on the rights of persons with disability, defend it, fight for it. So if you know that, no, in Anambra State, you cannot get away with discriminating against persons with disability.
All right, Barrister, still in line with what you just talked about now, how do you, as a chairman of the Disability Rights Commission in Anambra State, how do you reach out to those people, the deaf community in the hard-to-reach areas? Because, yeah, these are the people that maybe they don't have access to phones, they don't even have access to probably radio set and all that, but they are in their need of help. And of course, how do you reach out to them?
That brings me to the solution vision of Mr. Governor, Professor C.C. Soludo, CFR. The solution vision for persons with disabilities says that we will bring disability services to the rural areas, to the 326 political wards of Anambra State, to the PGs and Igwes of the community, to have disability inclusiveness in their programs, in their dealings. That when we come to each village, we'll identify persons with disabilities in that village, which includes deaf persons, and we identify them in that village and then appoint someone in that community to liaise between Anambra State Disability Rights Commission and that community. So we get them from the community level, then to the ward level, then to the local government level, where we are set to work with the executive chairmen who are coming in, who will be elected on the 28th of September this month. People that will be elected to be the executive chairman of various local government. We're going to work with them to ensure that they are disability inclusive. that they recognize that in their local government there are persons with disability. There is a deaf community that must understand what is happening in their local government. So yes, we will reach every area, no matter how remote that village is, because that village will have a PG, they will have community leaders we can work with. They will go down to that rural area and identify this person, register them for us. We reach out to them, identify what they need. We are having a statistical data of persons with disabilities in those rural areas. So we have a disaggregated data that will show us who is where, what type of disability, how old, what age, male, female, children, adult, retired. We will disaggregate all that so that government can be better informed when formulating policies that affect the interests of persons with disabilities in the whole state.
Okay, thank you so much. You've made mention of RULAC multiple times and how they are, of course, helping out in disseminating information and also training people in disability community and all that. But what about other advocacy groups, other civil society organizations? In what way can they render help? And we are talking about inclusiveness and all that. So in what way can they be of help to, include both the deaf community and everyone in the society so that we understand the importance of sign language communication?
We invite them to partner with us. We mention RULAC because RULAC partners with us, RULAC cooperates with us, RULAC trains our people. RULAC recently is operationalizing our legal services department. There's a lot of programs RULAC is doing for Anambra State Disability Rights Commission, and recently sponsored an audit research of all the MBAs in Anambra State. So there are many ways other organizations can help. Government cannot do it alone. We recognize that government cannot solve the problem of the disability community alone, in one day, in one night, in one administration. No. All the CSOs, we invite them to work with us. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing in Anambra State for persons with disabilities, come to Anambra State Disability Rights Commission, which is a one-stop shop for all disability issues, services in Anambra State. Let us know what you're doing, where you are doing it. We can tell you how best to do it because we have the record, we have the data, we have the information to assist them. So all other organizations to come, and we will advise them the best way. We will assist them, whether with manpower, technology, or information, whatever they will need to be effective in making their services available to persons with disabilities, whether in the township or in the rural area, the urban center, wherever they may be. So there are many ways they can help. They can start by employing or involving sign language interpreters in their program. Many of them hold symposia, and many of them hold programs. Many of them do outreach programs. But in most cases, there are no provision for sign language interpreters. Therefore, deaf community do not understand what those organizations are doing. They can start by involving our office to send them sign language interpreters for their programs, for their understanding, for their meetings. In fact, the law provides that if you are holding any program in Anambra State, if you are holding any symposium, any association, any public gathering in Anambra State, you should make provision for persons with disabilities, whether the wheelchair users or the deaf community, by providing sign language interpreter, wheelchair users by providing ramp, and the blind by providing sighted guide, so they can participate in your program. It is against the law to organize a program in Anambra State without making provisions for persons with disability. But our people don't know it, and ABS, thank you for letting them know it today.
All right. Thank you so much. Just before we round off, Emmanuel, let me come back to you. I mean, we are here creating awareness, telling people about the importance of, sign language communication and all that. Of course, we are joining the world all over to commemorate it, but it's just a one-off thing every year. And I think this particular issue needs to be hammered and it needs to be talked about all the time. So my question is now, in what ways or method can we actually employ to raise awareness about the sign language?
Well, there's no other way where, cause my boss always said that Anambra State Disability Rights Commission is always there to make the person or make the organization aware about the sign language and awareness. Our office is always open for any questions, for any answers. So it's definitely, our office is always free. Our office is always there to make the journey easier for the person in the society.
All right. Well, just before we go, Barrister, I know you will have 1 or 2 words to drop before we end the session.
I invite Anambra State citizens to participate in our inclusive program. And you can be a part of it. Do your part. Write letters. Make speeches. If you can speak, come and speak for us. If you can write, come and write for us. Let the government know what the society is saying. Let the society know what the government is doing. Be involved. Government cannot do it alone. Be involved. Be informed and be involved. If you are not informed, you are deformed. Therefore, be involved. And thank you, ABS, for your information and education program.
All right. Well, on that note, we want to say a very big thank you to both of you for joining us this morning. Thank you so much, Barrister Chuks Ezewuze, the Chairman, Anambra State Disability Rights Commission. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
And also, thank you so much, Emmanuel Anyemenam, our sign language interpreter. Thank you so much for being part of the show this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's it on the show this morning. I want to say a very big thank you to all of you that joined us. I mean, this topic is quite interesting, and it's good to know that everyone has a part to play in this inclusiveness that we are talking about when it comes to the deaf community. Do well and be part of it. If you can learn the sign language, you will be of great help to our society. If you can't, if you have a company, you can just do well by employing 1 or 2 deaf people in your companies to, make them have food on their table. Just like Emmanuel said, that everyone needs money and they also need money. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Tomorrow, we'll be here again for another interesting edition of the show. Good morning, Anambra. See you there. Bye.